war on I-4 moves to I-40 this afternoon as USF and UCF fresh off a tight tilt back on Halloween, square off here in Memphis, Tennessee in the American Athletic Conference Women's Soccer Championship semifinal round.
Hard to believe this is just game one, but we got a great one in store this afternoon, Tyler. Central Florida and the Bulls going at it, and here's your bracket for the Final Four.
There's only 4 remaining. The host team, Memphis, the top seed coming off a regular season championship, their 4th in Tigers history, and Brooks Monaghan looking to hold serve at home. That comes later. First, 2 Floridian schools battling here in the Volunteer State. Alongside Tim Van Horn, I'm Tyler Springs. It's awesome to be with you this evening from the Park Avenue Complex here in Memphis, Tennessee. Tim, these 2 teams know each other quite well. Unfortunately, the last time they met Halloween, it was a lot warmer than it is right now, but this figures to be a very heated match.
We got a treat this afternoon because just 1 week later, as you said, these teams know each other. They don't invite each other over for holiday parties. This is the war on I-4, as you said, and it all comes down to today, single elimination. And Central Florida, well, they've got their hands full, and there's some big keys to the game for them to advance to the final.
Yeah, Central Florida, I think, is going to rely on the work of their goalkeeper, Caroline Delisle, but also they've got to limit strong attackers for USF.
You know, they call USF the grandmas, and of course Evelyn Vienne, she's the one that holds court at the family reunions. She's got a legendary career. She wants to keep it going. That's going to be critical for the Bulls.
As for the Bulls, on the opposite side, they want to do everything extremely well, quality in all facets of the game to have success.
Absolutely. They've got to build from the back, and they've got to hold firm in the back because you're looking at a Central Florida team that is going to be coming strong, and they're ready to strike early on this Friday afternoon tilt.
In terms of players to watch, we've got to talk about UCF's keeper, just a redshirt freshman, Caroline Delisle, but extremely talented.
You know, great numbers from Elizabeth Moberg from the University of Memphis, but Caroline Delisle, as you mentioned, has been fantastic in the net with several clean sheets, and it looks like today she needs 1 more. She needs 2 more if they're going to claim a conference title, and it looks like she's going to be ready to go for this match today in this cold Memphis, Tennessee climate. 12
shutouts for Delisle this year. That's 5th best in the country. As for the USF Bulls, a goal scorer like we've never seen before in this American Athletic Conference. That's Evelyn Vienne. She'll be big.
She's not ready to close the book. It seems like a new chapter is written every match with the legendary number of goals and assists that she's had. Record breaker in points, and today they're going to need her more than ever, along with Andrea Hawksdaughter.
Vienne, Hawksdaughter versus Delisle. Coming up next on the American Digital Network, it's UCF and USF.
When we say charge on, we commit to do extraordinary things, to put in the work, to be smarter and stronger, to let them know we're coming. Charge on! Charge on!
We don't just predict the future, we shape it. Because as a preeminent research university, we don't focus on what should be, we focus on what could be.
Back in Memphis, where we are getting set for UCF and USF in this semifinal action of the American Athletic Conference's Women's Soccer Championship. Let's go down to our sideline reporter, Haley Outen.
You mentioned in the open these 2 teams meeting just a week ago, and for USF head coach Denise Schulte-Brown, she was not in any way pleased with her team's performance. In fact, looking back, she said it might have been the worst half of soccer that she's seen her team play this season. So that has really been the message and the motivation all week long heading into this game, just to feel and play like they know how to play.
Thanks, Haley. Looking forward to this one between the Knights and the Bulls. Game time weather for you this afternoon. Just a mere 41 degrees. Winds measured at 10 miles an hour coming out of the north. Sun set to set at 5:01 Central Time, a little more than a half an hour from now. Denise Schulte-Brown, the head coach for the USF Bulls, one of 2 very, very talented head coaches in this matchup. 7 NCAA tournament berths for her, and Denise Schulte-Brown in the last 4 years has won 52 contests overall, 26-7-3 her side in American Athletic Conference play. But what about the other side, Tim Van Horn, with Tiffany Roberts-Zahadak?
Well, I mean, what can you say about that? I mean, Olympic gold medalist, World Cup champion, two-time NCAA champion, she was named women's head soccer coach at UCF back in May of 2013, and three-time American Athletic Conference Coach of the Year. Of course, she spent a decade with the U.S. national team. Both of these coaches have a winning pedigree. Both teams right on the fringe of the top 25 as well. A win tonight will go a long way to pad that resume come NCAA tournament time.
And make no mistake about it, these two coaches have seen a lot of each other of late, and they are vying for Florida supremacy in this conference, as they have been for the last few years and will continue to do, we imagine, for a long time to come.
Absolutely. In fact, the theme for this matchup is she who laughs last, laughs best, and heads into that final Sunday afternoon versus the winner of the Memphis SMU matchup, which will follow immediately right here on the American Network.
Coming up at approximately 7 o'clock Central Time, it'll be Memphis taking on SMU in the second semifinal. That's the top seed Memphis Tigers taking on the fifth-seeded SMU Mustangs, who got by Cincinnati 1-0 on Sunday in an upset. UCF, of course, arriving here after a 5-0 shellacking of the Houston Cougars on Sunday as well.
Inclement weather canceling yesterday's matches, rescheduling them for today. I think with the distance that they've had in between matches, I don't think it impacts either team either way in getting prepared for this or recovering, because they'd already had a few days rest. So I don't think there's going to be an advantage either way for either team. But it is an interesting matchup, because you take a team from Central and from South Florida, you take them out of the 70-degree weather, you drop them into the 30s and into the 40s with a little bit of a wind chill, and you have what looks to be a very interesting matchup. By the way, I walked the pitch before the match, and yesterday, with all of the rain which canceled the match, last night it was very windy. Much of the pitch blew dry. It drains very well. The pitch, I didn't have anything sticking to the bottom of my shoe. I think we're going to be okay. I think it's going to play actually quite well this evening.
That lends me to ask what kind of shoes you're wearing, but that's beside the point, Tim. These teams used to playing in weather that averages in the 70s and 80 degrees, a difference of 45 degrees in terms of game time temperature between when they met last week on Halloween and meeting tonight in Memphis, Tennessee. It was 86 in their meeting, a 1-0 win for UCF. The first loss of the season for the Bulls on the road in that contest, as UCF took it 1-0 on the War on I-4 regular season edition. But tonight, it'll be a lot colder. There'll be some wind as well that will affect things on the pitch. We are getting set for action here moments away at the Park Avenue Complex in Memphis, Tennessee, as USF and UCF vie for a berth in the American Athletic Conference Finals coming up on Sunday.
One thing to look for in the strategy of this match this evening, Tyler, would be the substitution pattern. With such colder temperatures, do you get some fresh legs out there? Keep the benches warm. Do you sub them in and out, cycle them through, keep them warmed up on the sidelines? And I think in this particular instance, perhaps you do. Of course, you want to start your best 11 out there, but you also want to have them ready for the start of the second half as well. And that's going to be critical during the second half as well, to have some active stretching, keep the players warm, and not cramp up to come out for the second half, because temperatures, I believe, will probably fall between now and the end of the match. Could be up to 4 or 5 degrees in what is already a chilly matchup here out on the South Complex at the University of Memphis.
Chilly without a doubt, and we are getting set for kickoff. That is the USF Bulls in the black jerseys with highlighter green trim. And we are underway as Evelyn Vienne, the all-time leading scorer in American Athletic Conference history, puts the boot to it. This USF offense extremely good. They've outshot their opponents in all of their matches this year, and trying to get an early look right here. Into the box. A little too much traffic, and the chance there goes begging for Evelyn Vienne. But a second chance upcoming. Katie Kitching in the corner. Hounded, and eventually had that one deflected away out for a throw.
Heads up play by Kitching, because the clearance by the defense wasn't all that convincing at first, and she was there on the wing ready to pick it up.
Vienne with a sliding chance there in the box, didn't make much of it, and now USF a turnover to give UCF their first possession of the night.
I don't care if it's 75 degrees, 80 degrees, or 10 below. There's a lot of adrenaline flowing out on the pitch right now. I think critical times is going to be the first 15 minutes to see who can keep their nerve in this. It may not win you the match, but it may keep you from losing the match. And also the final 20 minutes going to be very exciting to watch, too, regardless of the score.
Good challenge in the midfield as USF keeps possession. Hawkstadter now along the sideline to Kitching, and Kitching can't go anywhere with it without being interfered with by Madison Mernon.
She's going to be busy. She's already been busy the first 90 seconds of this match, and I think that they'll continue to try to exploit that wing and get it into VN however they need to.
Katie Kitching, a junior out of Bedale, England. Just 1 goal in the year, does have 3 assists. This USF team averaging 2.06 goals per game this year, 33 on the season, compared to a UCF attack with 32 total scores. Along the left flank, trying to turn inward. The Bulls looking for their first opportunity, unable to center it once. Second chance, here's VN with a right foot, wide of the mark.
Oh, it's beautiful work on the left wing, though, to keep not only the ball in play one time, but also save it from going over the touchline a second time. A good recovery and a nice little drop pass about 6 yards out. And VN had her first prime opportunity there, and that one went begging early on. A big break, as that could have been a big start for them tonight for South Florida.
VN, the senior and native of Canada, the first ever program All-American, as she was voted a third-team All-American last year, based on her performance for USF. Now a UCF throw. Knights in white with black trim. USF in black with lime green trim. Into the middle, and this UCF defense trying to hold up early on against a relentless pressure from the Bulls. Into the box and a chance for UCF, or rather USF trying to center. Got it to the head of VN, deflected once on a shot attempt, and cleared away for a moment, though Kitching will find her footing in the corner. Katie Kitching has that one deflected, out of play for a throw.
Central Florida having an awfully tough time just getting some composure, just getting any possession. Other than the kickoff, where South Florida played it back into their own half, we've seen the ball entirely in Central Florida's half so far.
Sydney Nasello. Nasello to the back post, and wide of the mark where she was intending it. Trying to connect with Aubrey McGrath, crossing the face of goalkeeper Caroline Delisle, who's a redshirt freshman and an all-rookie team honoree this year. The American Athletic Conference leader in the goals against average, 0.32 per match.
And picked up a clean sheet against Houston, kept the momentum rolling into conference tournament time.
You won't find a hotter offense than UCF coming off that 5-0 victory over the Cougars. USF, meanwhile, has sat idle since having that sour taste in their mouth from the 1-0 defeat against the Knights on Halloween. Almost 5 minutes gone here in semifinal number 1 of the American Athletic Conference Women's Soccer Championship semifinal round between USF and UCF, a rematch of their Halloween meeting that the Knights won 1-0 thanks to the goal from Ellie Moreno.
It's also a battle for recruiting bragging rights today too. Of course, every match for them in that region.
A constant war between the two schools, separated by Interstate 4 between Tampa and Orlando. USF a chance to set up here and build from the back with Cheyenne Dennis, the one captaining the ship. Dennis. Up the touchline from McGrath. Played on forward, but unable to keep it in bounds that time. Sydney Nasello turns it over. Not the most on-target pass for USF. 12-4 on the season. 7-2 in American Athletic Conference play this year. No strong chances for either side just yet. They tried to find VN, but could not quite get it to her foot. This will be a goal kick coming for Delisle.
It's a nice overlapping run on the left wing, which actually freed up a little space, gave VN an opportunity to receive that crossing pass. He had one defender pulled to the left side instead of two in the middle. They're gonna try to see her as a target as often as possible.
UCF still has yet to get a good offensive possession. Merely right now on the defensive. It's a good defense, to be fair. They've allowed more than one goal in a match just one time in a 2-2 draw against George Mason. You see there Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak. A little more frigid temperatures than she usually experiences, we imagine. But they have to play at UConn every now and then. They know how to play in cold weather.
Well, and also if you want to get something that cold, you have to go to the Frozen exhibit at Disney World to experience temperatures that cold in that neck of the woods for sure.
Chances on here for USF, but a whistle will stop the play. Haley out on our sideline has something for us.
Yeah, guys, in the early part of this game, it looks all too familiar actually from the second half of last week's meeting. USF was pressing obviously down a goal in that game, so UCF was on their heels for about 45 minutes. And for UCF head coach Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak, she said it felt like the longest 45 minutes ever. They had a hard time relieving that pressure, but to their defense actually played tremendous to get that shutout.
Important to see the Bulls on the offensive early on in this match. Tim talked a moment ago about how important it is to judge the first 15 minutes, see who's got an aggressor's edge. USF in that Halloween match did have chances in that first half, but could never quite get one through despite continuing to press on. This might be a first opportunity for UCF, but quickly deflected, and a counter started the other way by Kitching. A nice dummy to get it over toward the sideline. McGrath. Aubrey McGrath. Locked up, tight to the touchline, and a deflection sends it out to bring the ball back to UCF.
You can see the banners waving in the distance over there. The wind's blowing in from the west, and I would give probably another 25, 30 minutes, and it'll start to darken up here as the sun's getting ready to set behind the tree line.
Nasello. Sydney Nasello gonna feed Kitching. Can Kitching turn the corner? She can find some help. Out for a USF throw. Sabrina Wagner. VN. A strike from outside the 18.
Whoa.
And a leaping save from Caroline Delisle. Magnificent.
Terrific save, Tyler. The shot's going high. Terrific form. When you have a shot that high, you're going to want to go with your upper hand, your upper arm. That's exactly what she did, and just let the momentum of that hard shot carry it out and away. And that is why she has the numbers that she does. She does not sit in a rocking chair back there. She definitely earns her supper for the defense in front of her.
56th save of the year for Caroline Delisle. Andrea Hochstadter, the senior midfielder, bent in, and again, not quite the touch desired for USF. Second look at the corner. Shot taken from just outside the box. But USF's first real strike proves no match for the athleticism and the reaction time of Caroline Delisle. Bulls struggling to keep possession in the offensive third. UCF looking to send it further up the touchline. Lewis out of the back. And out for a green and gold throw. USF, last year's regular season champions, trying to work their way back to the final by getting by their in-state rival in an out-of-state meeting. The Knights lose possession. Quick counter developing for USF. Played forward for Katie Kitching from the right side, and nowhere to go with it. Well defended by USF, or rather by UCF. Matilda Cack, who has been nailed so far early, has taken a lot of deflections. We mentioned the talent of that UCF defense. They've allowed more than one goal just one time this year, and it was not in conference play. So another corner coming for Hochstadter. Bend to the near post. A lot of traffic in the middle. UCF able to clear for a moment, and a long attempt will go wide of the mark, not really testing Delisle.
And she's playing that smart, Tyler, because she could have easily just stopped that with her foot or picked it up, but she lets that go out, lets the defense catch a bit of a breather, reset. Possession has been all in favor of South Florida thus far. She's just trying to give her defense maybe a little bit of a breather and maybe hoof the ball upfield closer to midfield and try to win a 50-50 ball and push the other way.
Delisle sends it to midfield. Cack. Taken by Hochstadter. The midfielder of the year in the American Athletic Conference.
It's been a clean game so far, even with all the adrenaline and the pressure applied by South Florida.
Both sides just a nose more than 160 fouls on the year entering this match. Kitching, gonna play it through. Developments for USF and knocked down just shy of the 18. Nothing called. Can the Bulls capitalize here in spite of the harm done, perhaps, from the top of the 18? A deflected strike goes awry. Kitching, chipped on, off target.
Couple right on the edge of the 18-yard box. There's going to be a point of contention, I'm sure, from the South Florida coaching staff.
Zandy Soray,
but notice,
given the business right there.
Yeah, notice though, she got up and kept on playing. And then on the next foul there, I thought the referee did a good job of applying advantage and letting South Florida continue their attack. So even when getting bumped down, they're still maintaining good possession.
UCF trying to put the pieces together on offense. Made difficult by the Bulls defense along the left touchline. And before the ball gets all the way back, a whistle stopping play to deny UCF what they thought to be perhaps their first chance.
All right, so we're about 15 minutes in, Tyler, and with all the pressure that South Florida has been on, been able to press, I would think that would be a bad thing for Central Florida, but you can also look at it from an optimistic side that, you know, we've weathered all of this pressure, and it's still 0-0 15 minutes in, and we haven't even settled into the match yet.
We talked about how big the first 15 minutes might, in fact, play. So far, nothing. And a swarm of white jerseys fly to Evelyn Vienne. Vienne strikes for goal, and Delisle brave enough for it. Not Evelyn Vienne's best. 16 goals this season, but had to get through a lot of traffic just to get the look. Working right and then left before finally being stonewalled. .29 minutes remaining in the opening half, and 0-0 the score between USF and UCF. Kitching. Another strike from USF, and that one as well flies wide. The shots coming hard from Sydney Nasello that time, but nothing yet for the Bulls. down to Haley Outen for a moment.
Yeah, we've seen UCF keeper Caroline Delisle come up with a couple of key saves already today. And in her redshirt freshman season, Coach thought it was actually really great that she had a year to train and learn from Vera Veras, who was an All-American goalkeeper before. We'll see her here in a second, but having that year to train and really learn and develop, she's a really coachable player, very intelligent, just very positive, low-key and humble. Always has the biggest smile on her face, but as a redshirt freshman already, she's already developing into a leader with a very bright future these next few years at UCF.
Delisle with great size and a sense of calm as well. Great to hear that she's got a lot of soccer ahead of her, considering how much she has impressed this year. UCF working it forward will be stopped by Sabrina Wagner as the Bulls reclaim possession.
They're trying really hard to free up Kristen Scott up top. If they can get it to her, maybe give it a shot over to Ellie Marino. But I tell you, South Florida right now is swarming on defense just as much as they are in the attacking third as well.
Into the middle for Nasello. Sydney Nasello looking for Vienne, marked by, it looked like about 10 different players. And a pass into a jungle like that, very difficult.
It had to hit one of the 9 in the black jersey, so odds are it's goal kick, I guess, right? I guess that's the logic there, but yeah, that was the scrum for sure.
UCF has not allowed Evelyn Vienne, the leading scorer in the conference, to get comfortable. Vienne holds the career marks for goals scored in the American Athletic Conference with 64 and points as well with 151. And she's 6th all-time in assists. A lot of names on that assists leaderboard in action this weekend. Kitching. Katie Kitching. 1v1, and that time well read by the defense of UCF. Madison Mernon out of Jacksonville, Florida. Able enough.
Terrific link-up play. It all started with Sabrina Wagner out of the back, the junior out of Newport Richey, Florida. And she was the player of the year back in 2014, coming into her college career. And it's just good work trying to link up and move it down the right side with Kitching, who Kitching's gotten a lot of touches tonight. And I suspect she's going to get plenty more as they try to work that wing for South Florida.
Great boot by Delisle after a little attempted sneak attack by Evelyn Vienne was foiled. And the Bulls will push it out. 26 minutes remaining in the opening half. Sun setting here in Memphis, and without a win tonight, one of these sides will see the sunset on their American Athletic Conference championship hopes. Near the corner, but not quite there. UCF coming with a throw in the vicinity of the 18.
And the winner of tonight's match has the luxury of watching the second match in climate-controlled comfort, because as the sun goes down and as you mentioned, the wind dies down, temperatures are going to fall a little bit faster for that 7 o'clock match for Memphis and SMU.
As we mentioned, game time temperatures at 41 degrees, and they'll be down to 35 by the time the Tigers and the Mustangs come to the park at 7 o'clock. Thrown forward for the Knights. Dennis trying to be a menace in the corner. Now Mernon on the throw for UCF. Madison Mernon just a shade long there. The Bulls will keep it in play. Rouse. Mernon couldn't quite get a clean stroke on it. That's Kristen Scott wearing the face mask. 5'9" sophomore and all rookie honoree and second team all conference honoree as well. So far has not been able to get loose for USF, or rather for UCF. Here come the Bulls the other way. Vienne choosing a more patient approach. Nasello hounded No semblance of rhythm on either side yet between USF and UCF here in semifinal action.
No, there's been plenty of possession, but there hasn't been much in the way of flow across the pitch. We've seen a series of 5-6 passes maybe for South Florida, and then maybe 1 or 2 for Central Florida, and then it flips back to the other side.
Olivia Lewis on the throw. Mernon. Looking ahead for Scott, unable to connect. Dennis racing for it. This is dicey. And for a moment, the entirety of the game flashed before the eyes of Sydney Martinez. Goal kick for USF.
Terrific hustle play for Central Florida, for UCF. Ellie Marino didn't give up on that ball. She had the deflection, and the back pass was not heavily weighted, so she had an opportunity to get in there and create a little bit of pressure. And against the run of play, that would have been disastrous for USF.
They leave it with Kitching now, again as they have done before. USF in black, UCF in white. Out for a throw from the freshman Olivia Lewis. You want to get on the field as a freshman in this squad, you better work hard. A 4-time Miami Herald All-County selection. UCF attack at the moment tied in knots, except for that one chance against the run of play. Hawksdotter looking to make a play, dispossessed. Dennis recovers. Scott can't hold on. And Kitching with the clear.
Starting to see UCF with a bit more physicality, a little more pressure up top, just trying to do something different to keep USF from breaking the lines out of the defense. They've been very good out of getting out of their own defensive third. They're trying to make it a little bit tougher for USF to do so.
Kristen Scott, the leader with 8 goals for UCF, has not been able to see anything clean. VN trying to ride the ball around the defense. And now a takeaway by the Bulls can start something. Another dispossession sends UCF on the counter the other way. The back pass cleared away by Martinez.
I like the reaction that I'm seeing out of UCF right now when they have been dispossessed. Their reaction on trying to immediately get it back rather than retreat or to spread out. I like what I'm seeing here over the last 3 to 4 minutes. The run of play has been a bit better from them.
Fresh legs, not yet a part of this match. Semifinal number 1 of the American Athletic Conference Women's Soccer Championship on the American Digital Network. Alongside Tim Van Horn, I'm Tyler Springs with Haley Outen down on the sideline. 0-0 between UCF and USF. The war on I-4 moved up to I-40. No breakthroughs either way, with both sides looking for a berth in Sunday's conference tournament final. Mernon. Scott. Can they find a way to open up space for Kristen Scott? 46 shots for Scott this year. Barely a sniff at an opportunity this evening. Nasello. Ahead for VN. All alone. Working on Cack. VN around Cack. VN near the edge of the box. We're going to get a whistle. And this is going to be just shy of the 18.
I'll be interested to see the replay on that because it looked like she had taken a step before she had gone down on the play. Yeah, I think she might have tripped over the grass.
The turf monster hopped up and bit Evelyn VN right there, but it draws the call and a free kick coming with a big chance here for USF.
But when you're a prolific goal scorer, you get the benefit of the doubt. And just outside the box, as you mentioned, we'll see how they set up the wall here. Looks like 2 on the near post.
Hawksdottir bends it, back post, top of the 6. Aloft for a moment. Kitching. Nasello, no. Multiple ricochets, but nothing able to be done for USF as the flag goes up.
It's a terrific delivery by Hawksdottir. I thought it was a nice flat ball, and to give only really their attackers a chance and not just leave it hanging up in the air to let the goalkeeper claim it. I thought it was a good delivery. We may see more of that later tonight.
Hawksdottir's 7 assists, a team high this season. UCF battling their way forward. Moreno out for a goal kick. I haven't seen much from Sydney Martinez just yet this year.
No.
Or just yet this evening, I should say.
A little nervy moment just a moment ago with that back pass, but that's about it. Nothing doing so far this evening. Interested to what's happening on the wing here with Kitching and with number 20, Madison Merning. They're starting to get a little more physical there.
Kitching, weaving inside. Nasello, right down Main Street. Laid off, Vienne. Evelyn Vienne, stoned. Once more, the chance won't come immediately. Delisle coming way out that time in anticipation. Played again, but off target. And Caroline Delisle standing up to Evelyn Vienne. An important moment for both sides. Could have been dicey for UCF, or rather UCF.
Oh, wow. That was point blank. I hope she hasn't hit save on her highlight reel because she can add another one right there to it for sure.
Still knotted at 0-0. Kitching wants a quick start.
Kristen Scott tracking back, providing a little extra help. Watch number 4, Molly Rouse for UCF. She's a very physical midfielder. She sits in front of the back 4.
Hawksdottir to the edge of the 18. But the flag up as she was looking to connect with Aubrey McGrath on a cross-field pass.
Well, the sun is now down behind the tree line. That ball is going to probably feel like a stone by the time the second game rolls around, but for now, still a little bit of that glow off in the distance.
14 minutes remaining here in the opening half in Memphis. In semifinal action as Katie Kitching works to get free. Kitchen. The ricochet leaves Vienne close to the ball, but not on it. Out for a throw, incoming from Wagner. Sabrina Wagner has been described before by her coach Denise Schulte-Brown as a machine. A compliment many would desire to have. And she has been playing forward a lot this evening, coming up from the back. The counter breaks UCF's way, but unable to keep possession with a sideline route by Ali Gudorf. Gudorf, just a freshman on this team, one of 10 players that have international experience for UCF. USF, not to be outdone, also claims 40% of their roster as foreign-born. A large share of those coming from Canada, like Evelyn Vienne.
Several with national team experience with respective countries. I'm curious to know what Coach Robert Sahadak thinks about the U.S. women's national team win last night against Sweden with the new coach.
Do you think she was watching, or do you think she was focused on this match?
I'm thinking she was focused on this match, but maybe had the corner of her eye watching a little bit of the first half, maybe.
Once a national team member, always a national team member in some ways. But still lots more for Robert Sahadak's team to be done here in Memphis. Former Olympic gold medalist, World Cup champion, two-time NCAA champion. Scott locked up with Wagner.
You know, one of her teammates is from here, from that World Cup championship team. Cindy Parlow-Cohn graduated from Germantown High School, was on that 99 World Cup championship team. I don't think Cindy lives here, but she is from here. She's too busy coaching.
The connections go back farther than I can even think to remember, Tim Van Horn.
Soccer's just one big family, Tyler. It's one big family.
Vienne not trying to make friends at the front. Kitching. Evelyn Vienne with a deflection. And that one, unfortunately, goes just over Aubrey McGrath, who was waiting to try and head it out of the air. Nacello. Sid Nacello. Played forward for Vienne. Evelyn Vienne. 1-0 USF. She beats Delisle, who had to come out off her line to cut down the angle. Goal number 17 on the year for the senior. And a huge pickup with only 11 minutes to go in this opening half for the Bulls.
Terrific distribution. She's wide open on the wing. Look how calm, collected. She knew exactly where she wanted to slot that home. No problem for her. She didn't blink. Delisle did everything she could. She made herself big, but no chance in the end. And Vienne, as you said, 17th goal on the season, and now UCF is going to have to pick up the pace to try to even this up before the end of the first half.
Big credit to Evelyn Vienne, but also to Sydney DeCello for drawing the attention of what looked like 4 UCF defenders there. The first time that Evelyn Vienne has really had some room to breathe on the evening.
I was kind of surprised by that because UCF, to their credit, has actually been pretty disciplined along the back line, and they've provided some width as well. But in that particular case, there was a breakdown, and that left Delisle just hanging out there by herself on the island, and that's a tough one to be one-on-one against.
So USF, the offensively gifted Bulls, with a 1-0 lead as UCF now will bring in substitutes. Deanna Martin comes in to take out Kristen Scott for a breath.
I don't think
Also
we've seen the
checking
last
in
of her tonight. I think she'll be back second half. Just give her, like you said, just a bit of a breather.
Elise LeGroux also checks in for the Knights. Pressure turned up here as a corner comes for UCF.
First corner of the night for UCF, as a matter of fact, and now they're going to They're going to stack, looks like they're going to stack at least 6 in the box.
Rouse is delivering. Grabbed out of the air by Martinez. Down to the sideline we go for Haley Outen. In a second, but Vienne trying to work a counter all on her own. Goes wide and played out. Now to Haley Outen.
Evelyn Vienne, one of the biggest scoring threats in the nation, getting on the board first for her team today. But talking to Coach Schulte Brown before this game, I asked her about Evelyn and playing in her senior season, and she said, you know, by the end of 4 years, all sides of a player are generally revealed, and there was basically an entire semester where Evelyn didn't really speak much, especially with English not being her first language, but now she's one of the loudest on the team, by far has the biggest laugh, and after 17 goals, all smiles now.
Fun to see the development of a player like that, not only in the park, but outside of it. And Vienne, much more comfortable not only with her performance, but just being around a squad of high-level soccer players, working sometimes in a language that's not native to her, and having loads of success and acclaim as well.
Still plenty of time to scratch something out if you're UCF right here. I don't think you're totally in panic mode. You got a terrific keeper. For most of the year, you've been close in all of your matches, so still plenty of opportunity. Just got to get a little bit of flow going forward instead of having to continue to backtrack against USF.
Diana Martin, who came on just moments ago for UCF, coming off a performance against Houston where she had a brace in that 5-0 quarterfinal victory. Perhaps the spark plug that UCF needs. Great challenge, and it is possession by the Bulls. Played forward for Vienne. Vienne, not often beaten, but that time Olivia Smith able to get the better of her. No let up whatsoever for USF. They know how flimsy a 1-goal lead can be. Hawksdotter slid through for Vienne. Won't have a chance. Heads up move by Delisle, who has had to be on her P's and Q's this evening.
Assistant referee had the offside flag up anyway. If it had gone in, it would not have counted. Referee, using his discretion, says, hey, the keeper has the ball. Let's play some more soccer.
Back the other way come the Knights, trailing 1-0 with 6 minutes remaining in the opening half of this semifinal. With the winner to meet either Memphis or SMU based on results coming later tonight. Setting up from the rear. Rouse. Attempting a centering pass, but having it deflected. UCF that time not able to find the right combination just yet.
They're getting chances here and there, but just not with the frequency that's putting a lot of pressure on USF just yet. If they were to happen to scratch one out before the half, I think they'd go in feeling absolutely fantastic, given the dominance of possession that USF has had in for the majority of this first half. If USF were able to pick up a second one here, though, I think that turns the game on its head, and you're going to see UCF pretty much have to throw everything but the kitchen sink in the second half.
Aubrey McGrath gets a seat as Rebecca Anderson enters the fray. Unlikely to see McGrath the rest of this half.
And you brought up a terrific point earlier in the half, is that regardless, UCF just does not concede a lot, and if they do lose, they don't lose by much. They're in every single game that they're in, and even when they give up multiple goals, they draw those matches as well.
Entering the half, we will get an interview with Denise Schulte-Brown. Looking forward to hearing from the leading coach. Her squad in position right now to, if this scoreline holds, advance to Sunday's final. But a lot of work to be done before we close the book on it. Kitching. Out for a Bulls throw. Hochstetter into the back for Roberts. And Wagner, who's been omnipresent this evening. Wagner, a misread there, and possession lost.
I'll be very interested to see what Coach Schulte-Brown has to say with Haley at the half. I think she's got to be very pleased with the amount of possession. She's probably not too thrilled about that near miscue at the back, but all in all, pretty comprehensive first half given the rivalry and the cold weather. I think they've done a really good job here in the first half. If they can hang on for another 2.5 minutes, I think she'll be even more pleased to go into the dressing room with a 1-0 edge.
Have you noticed any minor tweaks, any adjustments made since that goal came their way?
From a UCF standpoint, I think they've added a little more pressure up high. They know now they've got to take the game to USF, but for USF, no. I think it's as is for now. I think as they were, just simply because what they've had has worked so well. They've created space on the wings. They've even gotten some opportunities for VN. VN actually, honestly, she had an opportunity almost 5 minutes into the match. She should have 2 goals probably already tonight. So really, I don't think too many tweaks at this point for USF.
Hochstetter that time offline on the shot. UCF. Trying to look connected in the closing moments of the first half. And another Bulls takeaway. With a minute to go. Dennis.
1 minute remaining in the half.
Cheyenne Dennis. No urgency at all for the Bulls, and no pressure put on by UCF either.
I think that was more of a hopeful ball that someone would latch onto that here in the last 35 seconds of the first half. I think both clubs just simply don't want to make a mistake in the last half minute.
Evelyn Vienne can make you look like you made a mistake no matter what. Cleared by Delisle.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Winding down to the final horn, and the first 45 have concluded. At halftime here in Memphis in the first American Athletic Conference semifinal, the USF Bulls on top 1-0 over UCF.
That's the end of our first half
with a
action.
goal from Evelyn Vienne
Your score
with
is
just under 11 minutes remaining in the opening half. The league's leading goal scorer in her career now with 65. including the postseason. Vienna and her teammates have to feel good about where they are going into the break.
Absolutely. I think the amount of possession that they've had, they've got to be very thrilled with that. Even with the near mistake at the back, everything has been pretty tidy otherwise, and also good movement, not just to VN, but also along the wings, creating some width, a little bit of space for them. They've got to be very happy, and I would think the USF fans have got to be very pleased because they got what they came for, and that's a goal by VN.
A 1-0 advantage thus far for USF over the UCF Bulls. Let's go down to Haley. She's with Denise Schulte-Brown.
Coach, able to flip the script this week and take a 1-0 lead into the half. What was your evaluation of your group's performance in the first half?
I mean, I think they did, excellent. What we asked them to do. We had majority of the ball. We, the difference is when you get in their half of their field, if you can keep the ball for 4 or 5 passes, that allows us to transition. And then if we lose it, we can win it back. But if every time we get in their half of the field, we go directly to goal, then we don't have time to transition. So, that was the game plan. I think they've done a much better job. Nacello, unlocks everything, but now she's sharing the ball out wide, allowing us to transition, and then she's dangerous again. So, I'm a little disappointed. It isn't more, but we'll have to work for some more.
Postseason soccer, still 45 minutes to go. What will be the key to your defense holding strong in the second half to close this one out?
Number 4 is a talented player, and she's building confidence in the ball this half. So number 1 is stripping her a few times when she has the ball, because we know she's going to take multiple touches. But if she does loosen us a little bit, we know she's headed for the flank. So if our outside backs can just give that little bit of cushion, I think number 11 is the only one that's gotten dangerous in that so far. So as long as we're cautious in those areas, we should be good.
All right, good luck in the second half. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
USF on top 1-0 over UCF as we go to the half here on the American Digital Network. Bulls on top of the Knights. Another 45 still to go. Back in a few moments.
Welcome into an all-new episode of the American Huddle alongside Andy Gresh. I'm Haley Outen. Hard to believe we are headed into Week 11 of the college football season. November is here, and the race for the conference championship is starting to feel more real and real each and every week.
Yeah, and when you think about all of the divisional matchups that have gone down, right? We had the big Memphis-SMU battle that I know we're going to touch on. It makes you realize how the early games matter, right? Because Navy's got to be sitting there in the West thinking, man, we lost to Memphis early in the year. Now Memphis kind of controls their own fate in terms of what could happen in the conference championship game. And for me, Haley, it's a good reminder that even though we sit here in September and there's that odd conference game that pops up, that odd conference game in the first month may be the one that keeps you out of an American Conference Championship game.
Yeah, let's look back to last Saturday, the top 25 matchup, SMU at Memphis. They had College Game Day in the house, prime time on ABC. The Tigers went on to win that one 54-48, but what a game. And there was just some outstanding individual plays on both sides, actually, for SMU as well. But wide receiver Antonio Gibson was completely the story of that game for Memphis. Walter Camp National Offensive Player of the Week.
Well, it should come as no surprise that someone from Memphis had a kick return for a touchdown, right? We've only been seeing that for 5 years now out of the Memphis Tigers. But when you look at Gibson, like, to me, the Antonio Gibson run, that was amazing. I mean, he not only did he run through contact, he ran away from defenders down the sideline for the touchdown, and that run impressed me. Look, he made some great catches. We know that Brady White's going to press the ball down the field every once in a while, but it was the way that Gibson contributed in other ways, Haley, that really stood out. And look, if they've got guys like that, a wide receiver, who have the ability to have what was a physical, punishing run on the touchdown that he had, it goes to show you how diversified their offense is, but how much is pure offensive athleticism they've got on that side of the ball, and trying to defend them right now is very, very tough.
Yeah, teams probably preparing pretty heavily for the running back Kenny Gainwell, but Antonio Gibson, now a new name to definitely circle and focus on. Gibson had 386 all-purpose yards, which was a conference record and the most by any FBS player this season. Also the first FBS player to score a touchdown 3 different ways.
Yeah, that's, I mean, that in and of itself is pretty cool. And look, SMU put up a good fight. Memphis was able to kind of extend the lead a little bit and sort of pull away there. I don't want to say the score wasn't indicative of how close the game really was, but I thought in that third and fourth quarter, Memphis started to distance themselves at home. And look, for SMU, Listen, if at the end of the year SMU has got one loss, and their one loss is to a team that may end up winning an American Conference championship, that is still one heck of a year. And I know you and I haven't really dove into this yet, but the Conference Coach of the Year race is as wide open as we've seen in a long time. I think there are 4 legitimate candidates, and if you want to throw Tulane and Willie Fritz in there, you could argue there are 5 legitimate candidates for Coach of the Year.
Yeah, certainly been an exciting year around this league from top to bottom. Memphis will have the week off before they head to Houston. Kind of a light schedule this week, Andy. Only 4 games, but it gets started on Thursday night. Temple at USF, and both of these teams are coming off bye weeks.
I think both teams needed the rest, and what do we have with Temple? Right? We don't exactly know how good their defense is, but I do think their defense will be good enough to hold up against this USF squad. And let's look at USF for a moment. I think we talked 2 weeks ago about how, that growth curve, the arc is kind of there. We're seeing them grow a little bit. It's not just them trying to climb. We're seeing them get to a point now to where you can start to believe in both sides of the football team, meaning offense and defense. And this will be a very interesting battle. I know for Temple, they're trying to get to bowl eligibility. USF as well. I think these are 2 teams that are in kind of similar places in terms of their journey for the 2019 season.
Temple at USF, 8 p.m. Eastern, Thursday night on ESPN. Moving on, Friday night, UCF heads to Tulsa. Now, the Knights trailed Houston, Andy, at halftime last week, but then they were able to turn it on offensively and come back to win.
Yeah, a big third quarter for them. And look, Tulsa is the little engine that just can't. They just can't find a way to be able to win a game. And again, another close one over this past weekend. I think UCF is starting to get into a little bit of a groove here. Dylan Gabriel is growing every week. And it's weird, but I love the fact that he's a left-handed quarterback because I think it does change some things in terms of the way you call plays. You have to adjust as a coaching staff if you're on the other side competing against him. And UCF seems to be getting into the right kind of groove right now that if anybody on that east side, namely Cincinnati, has a little bit of a slip-up, UCF's going to be right there to capitalize on that opportunity.
All right, moving on to Saturday, just 2 games, starting off with ECU at SMU, noon Eastern on ESPNU. For SMU, this game is especially important because, Andy, they're not out of the race yet.
No, they're not. I mean, it's a little bit like Navy and Cincinnati and UCF. They're still in it, so you got to keep playing. Here's what they can't do, and this, to me, will be the big thing for SMU. Do they have the ability to overcome the bubble being burst? We can sit here in our digital studios and say they're still in it. Does SMU still feel like they're in it? And I think as we saw last week, ECU deserves a lot of respect. They took one of the best teams on a top 25 team, or the best team, one of the better teams in the American and a top 25 team in Cincinnati to the absolute wall. So SMU better be ready to strap it up, and they can't feel sorry for themselves. If they come out and handle business, they should be okay.
Lastly, UConn heads to Cincinnati. Cincinnati, we just talked about it, had a little bit of a scare on the road last week at ECU. But what did you learn about that Cincinnati team, especially they were coming off of a bye week as well?
Guts, they have resiliency, and they've got the ability to beat you in different ways. Desmond Ridder can throw the ball. He'll also make running plays. I don't think it's a quarterback running all over the place situation, but you know that if you need to turn to him in the running game, they've got the ability to do so. And look, UConn, they just haven't been able to stop anybody. So I expect Cincinnati to hold the ball for 40 minutes, run and score the appropriate amount of points they need to win the game. And I do think that Luke Fickell will look at his defense and say, we were good in the second half. We weren't good in the first half against ECU. Let's make sure we put together a full 60 minutes on that side of the ball.
A quiet week in terms of number of games, but 4 teams ranked in this week's AP Top 25, and that's just the second time that that's happened in American history. But we use the term power a lot. We talk about the Power 5, the Power 6, but 4 teams in this league ranked, and then you have UCF just on the outside looking in. So where does that position this conference as a whole when you look at what's going on in college football right now?
Haley, again, I sit here almost every week and I rail on the rubes of college football for not giving the American the respect that they've earned. They've earned the respect that they deserve to get, and people aren't giving it to them yet. The problem is for a lot of these people, and I hate to say this, is that, the American would have gotten more respect if SMU had beat Memphis and had jumped up to inside the top 15 or maybe even to, say, 12, let's say. So people know, oh, well, look, an American team is up there. People, unfortunately, are going to look at it and be like, wow, all these teams are lumped in 15 or lower and da-da-da. When in reality, they're missing the point. The depth of this league is as good as anybody. They're up there in terms of ranked teams by conference. There's no other group of 5 conference to me that's even close. And to me, the American is better positioned than the Pac-12. But the Pac-12's got one team in Oregon that's way up there in the rankings, and Utah's up there as well. So people say, well, that league must be better. Top to bottom, the American, for my money, is better than the Pac-12. And if you match up Utah or Oregon against, pick any of those best teams. Go with SMU, Memphis, Cincinnati, or UCF. Those games are very even across the board. So to me, I hope people start to pay attention to the depth in this conference, and that just because there isn't a team way up there, it doesn't mean the league ain't any good.
A question from this week's mailbag that we actually didn't get to regarding the top 25 was UCF losses to Pitt and Cincinnati this year. So a fan at home wanted to know, how many more games does UCF have to win to break back into that top 25?
Probably one. All they got to do is wait for the shifting at the bottom, because we know there's going to be upsets this time of year. I'm sure there'll be a team somewhere who's playing directional state university who ends up getting beat and then falling out of that top 25. I think for UCF, just stay the course. What I hope doesn't happen is that if an American team loses that is ranked, that they're not the one to fall out to get UCF in there. It'd be nice to see everybody kind of hold serve and see UCF jam their way into that bottom of the top 25. But they're a top 25 program. Let's be real.
All right, well, Week 11 gets started on Thursday night. Make sure to follow along on Twitter at American_FB. And as always, head over to Facebook for full highlights. We'll see you back here next week on behalf of Andy Gress.
You mean you're the lumberjack, right?
I almost got out of this show.
Yeah, you did.
You complimenting
that
me
looks
all the
good.
time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Exactly.
A little chilly, rainy day.
Sure. You have a shawl to put on with that?
It's my flannel sweater dress.
Oh, I got you.
You need to get yourself one of these.
So,
now that you're like slim and trim.
Yeah, yeah. No,
really
well,
good.
I mean, I do get cold easier, but I didn't know if you had like a blanket or a shawl or some Werther's Originals to have with that outfit.
So you're saying that I'm like 85 years old.
We'll see you next week, everybody.
Goodbye.
When we say charge on, we commit to do extraordinary things, to put in the work, to be smarter and stronger, to let them know we're coming. Charge on! Charge on!
We don't just predict the future, we shape it. Because as a preeminent research university, we don't focus on what should be, we focus on what could be.
Back on the American Digital Network, USF on top of UCF 1-0. Let's toss it down to Haley Outen.
Coach, down 1-0 heading into this second half. What adjustments would you like to see your team make here to close out this one?
Well, South Florida did a great job, put us on our heels early from the very beginning of the game. So I think we just need to take more risks. We played very tentatively and had to defend a lot. So I think we just need to get our fullbacks forward a little bit more and start taking more risks.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
You heard it right there. Haley Outen asking Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak what she needs to do. And she says, we got to take more risks. This UCF side hasn't seen a lot of offensive opportunities in the first half, just one shot. Tim Van Horn, we're going to get some highlights here in a moment, but what did you see out of this UCF side?
I thought coming out of the get-go, I thought possession was critical, and the pressure was on from the get-go. USF, you saw the great saves by Delisle. She was a highlight reel the first 30 minutes of the match, and she bailed out her team numerous times. But then, of course, Evelyn Vienne does what she does, and that is score goals, her 17th of the season, and that is where we stand right now.
65th goal of Evelyn Vienne's American Athletic Conference career. That is the all-time career mark, as USF claims a one-goal advantage for the first 45 minutes. Lots more work still to be done by Caroline Delisle and the white-shirted UCF Knights.
All right, possession in the first half was exactly as we thought it was going to go. 67-33 in favor of South Florida. And the first 10 minutes, I would have given you a friendly wager on a hot chocolate that it was 90-10 South Florida. And I think finally Central Florida, UCF got their bearings, got a little bit more possession, maintained the ball for a little bit longer. But again, we still haven't seen extended spells from UCF. I think they've got to get something in the first 25 minutes going, because I think the last 20 is going to be frantic. I think it's going to get very physical, and anything goes. I think that last 20 minutes of this semifinal match.
To be fair, I would have taken any bet that had a hot chocolate on the other end of it, given that it's still 40 degrees and dropping here in Memphis. But we'll have to see what changes are made, not only for the deficit-staring UCF Knights, but also for the advantage having USF Bulls, who are trying to find their way back into the American Athletic Conference Final to be played on Sunday against either Memphis or SMU.
And not a lot of dead ball situations either, other than goal kicks down in the first half for UCF. We've seen only 4 fouls and only a couple of offsides as we get underway in the second half.
Second half is off and running as UCF begins it from the foot of Ellie Moreno. And immediately a UCF player goes down. This is not good for Ali Gudorf. Freshman from Cologne, Germany. Gudorf, I think, got the knee wrenched a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. And in this cold weather, it's going to feel twice as bad.
Winds not quite as much as they were at the opening kick. 10 miles an hour measured at that moment. They have died down a bit. But what has not died down is the pressure applied by the USF Bulls that eventually led to an Evelyn Vienne goal with just under 11 minutes remaining in that first half. First opportunity here, all the way to the byline goes Nasello, and this is going to be a corner coming from the foot of Andrea Hochstadter. Shot advantage huge in favor of USF in that first half.
15-1 and 4-1 if you're looking at shots on target, and you can credit again. And Coach said it at halftime that USF had a great opportunity to be up by more than one, but you got to give some credit to the goalkeeper Caroline Delisle, and also you had a missed opportunity by Vienne. She should be on a brace at this particular point. I think she'd probably tell you that too.
Hochstadter in near post, headed low in traffic, and I believe a save made by Delisle. Still loose and still dangerous as UCF tries to weather the storm.
And if it wasn't Delisle, it was her right there, Molly Rouse, off the line. She was playing near post off of the corner kick, and it was either Delisle or Rouse playing the second ball very well, staying squared up. Oftentimes, you'll see that front post defender leave the goal line, and thankfully, if it was Rouse, if she had not been there, that could have snuck in for a 2-0 advantage very quickly in the second half.
Rouse complimented by the opposing coach after that first half, Denise Schulte-Brown, saying that Rouse was the one who was trying to upset the apple cart the most. She may need to play an even more aggressive role here in the second half. Hochstadter once again a chance to set up in the box. Vienne right near the goal mouth. Play to the back post. The header off target that time. Brianna Blethen, her first touch. Wagner. A good heel touch to get things going for McGrath. Nasello weaving in and out of traffic like a bumper car and got hip checked. A hard challenge will give USF a free kick.
That was a very nonchalant back heel to get out of trouble. Now that's going to be about, I'd say, about 30 yards from goal, just to the right of Delisle. She's going to put 2 on a wall there. It's far enough away you only need 2, but it's close enough that Delisle's got to be on her toes here, because they could either take a shot or loft this inside 12 yards.
chipped. Shy of the mark, Olivia Smith there read it well for UCF. And a foul near the top of the 18 that'll send things further the Knights' way. Alongside Tim Van Horn, I'm Tyler Springs with Haley Outen down on the sideline here on the American Digital Network. First semifinal of the 2019 American Athletic Conference Women's Soccer Championship with SMU in Memphis set to kick off close to 7 o'clock Central Time after this match concludes. Evelyn Vienne with a first half goal, the difference in this contest, putting USF into the lead. And good defense played by Dennis on the right corner. That ball might have taken the win from her. Cheyenne Dennis needs a moment.
Cheyenne, a junior out of Sunrise, Florida.
Yeah.
She's had 3 camps with the U.S. Under-17s back in the day. One of many that we're treated to tonight that's had international team experience.
Molly Rouse. Delivered right to the hands of Martinez. Sydney Martinez so far has proven up to the task.
And she just claims those so calmly. She did the same thing in the first half. There's not a lot of noise, a lot of motion. She finds her spot, and she's able to take advantage of her height to claim those without too much difficulty.
You will see considerable goalkeeping talent on display all weekend long in this American Athletic Conference tournament. Caroline Delisle, of course, the more put upon of the two this evening, made the all-rookie team this year. UCF, according to Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak, needs to be a little more risky in this half if they are to equalize. Have not quite seen an increased level of recklessness. Vienne trying to turn. Rouse on the denial. McGrath. Hawkstadter. Surveying. Vienne stays on side. Evelyn Vienne, wide open chance for McGrath. McGrath crossing from the byline, nothing doing. And a takedown along the left touchline by Gadorf.
First 7 minutes of the second half, Tyler, USF has used selective pressure in spots on the pitch and has really kept UCF guessing in that you'll see some high pressure at times. You'll see 2 or 3 of the USF players add pressure in the attacking third, and then sometimes they'll let UCF bring it forward.
Here's Nicello. She goes to the byline, trying to cross it in from the left, couldn't square it. To the corner and played away.
And really, we've seen some increased pressure, too, around the midfield as well. But the bottom line is USF just is not letting UCF get comfortable on the ball. Even when they have it, they're having to retreat back into their third of the field.
UCF not able to get any semblance of an attack in this second half. Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak might be cold, but might also be sweating internally. It's a team that's gone 43, 10, and 10 over the last 4 years for these seniors. 22, 9, and 5 in that span in American Athletic Conference play. On the move. Moreno had her trip canceled.
I mean, think about that, 20,000 minutes with this group from the class of 2020. I've barely ever kept a job more than 20,000 minutes. It's incredible. But you look at that, 107 goals, 60 assists, very, very productive. She got the recruiting right that year, didn't she?
She did. Denise Schulte-Brown's side with the USF Bulls has gone 52, 16, and 5 over the last 4 years, 26, 7, and 3 in conference action. UCF looking to make a break for it. Up comes Martinez to sweep it away.
Terrific communication, very definitive in her clearance. Her center back knew exactly what she was going to do. Good shielding of the ball to allow Martinez to sweep through and clear that up the field.
This is Kitching, whom we heard from a lot along the right flank in that first half. Dennis. Switching sides from McGrath. Latham. Vienne looking to turn. Can't get the boot to it. I'm not sure if we've had two higher work rates this evening than Molly Rouse for UCF and Sabrina Wagner for USF.
Yeah, we've gotten two really good performances tonight. It's a good night to be out here, and it's a good time to be an American Athletic Conference women's soccer fan, that's for sure.
Kristen Scott forward, back in for the first time since a first half exit in favor of Diana Martin.
I'm enjoying watching Evelyn Vienne work off of the ball and just watching her movements to prepare to receive the ball, because she'll work side to side on the pitch, and then she'll take her moment when she can.
Here's Moreno. Ellie Moreno trying to bend it in toward the 18. Got it there, but not without trouble. And it's pulled away by USF. Delisle.
Still, given the amount of possession advantage that USF has had, still surprised, and I'm sure pleasantly surprised for UCF that this is still a one-goal game. Now, there I've said it. Let's see what happens here in the final 35 minutes, because you would suspect with that amount of possession that this would be a multiple goal difference, but it just it hasn't materialized yet. For all that has happened, UCF has held well enough in the back to keep this close.
We alluded to it in that first half. The Knights have not played a match this year where they've allowed more than one goal more than once. Happened back on September the 1st against George Mason in a 2-2 draw. Since then, nobody has scored more than one against them. 11-3-4, 5-2-2 in conference action against a USF side that did not draw on the year. 12-4, 7-2 in the American. Kitching. Katie Kitching, not quite. And a goal kick coming for Caroline Delisle, the redshirt freshman. She will not add to her top 5 national shutout total this evening, but her play in the second half can do a lot still to keep UCF in the match. The Bulls take possession. Vienne. Evelyn Vienne. On target. A brace for the senior, Evelyn Vienne. And the Bulls feel closer to being through. A 2-0 advantage. And only 32 minutes still to go.
I don't know what I liked better, the incoming pass or the finish by Vienne. It was very much like her first goal. She takes it down the right side, calmly puts it into the back corner, And you talk about a threading of the needle. There you go, splitting 2 defenders, and all she had to do is just send it home to the backside. Beautiful work by USF, and a deserved 2-0 lead as Evelyn Vienne shows exactly why she's got 18 goals this year. We're getting just a great sample of that tonight.
18th goal of the year, 66th goal of the career for the all-time record holder in American Athletic Conference play, Evelyn Vienne.
And it's not too early now for UCF to start taking chances. They're going to have to start pushing numbers forward. Keep an eye out on the bench as well to see if we have some moves to push an extra attacker ahead here with even just over 30 minutes to go. Now time is no longer their friend at this point.
Lucy Roberts on the back line for USF, able to skirt danger. They'll play it backwards now for Martinez. Here's Kristen Scott. Marginal involvement tonight for Scott. Rouse forward. Too many black shirts in front of her. Sliding challenge in the midfield by Hawksdotter. Not enough to win it.
And I know 31 minutes and some change is a lot of time, but with only 1 shot on target, right now UCF has to focus on getting chance after chance after chance at this point, and they just have not been there tonight. Until they start creating chances, it's going to open up extra opportunity for USF.
Another one coming here for USF. Nacello through to the middle. And at the last moment, interrupted.
And we haven't called her name enough tonight. Nacello's done a terrific job feeding some passes in for USF, for the Bulls.
Her speed has been, without question, a difference-making element. Set up the first goal from Evelyn Vienne to take a 1-0 lead in the first half. Slotting one forward while drawing 4 defenders to her. A dispossession now. And one back the other way. Evelyn Vienne, not always working, but always looking for an opportunity. She's got one here. Laid off by Nacello, but the flag up just before she had a look at goal.
USF still clogging the midfield, which is making it very difficult for UCF to get those chances, Tyler. The defenders are actually almost playing over the midfield and trying to play diagonals into their forwards to see if they can create a chance in that space.
Here is perhaps UCF's best chance, but Moreno won't get a chance to put the boot to it. It'll be a corner coming instead. Ellie Moreno locked up there with Cheyenne Dennis.
That may have been goal saving because I don't think she had another step to spare to clear that ball.
In the nick of time.
Yeah, I think she was ready to load and fire on that if she had one more step.
Played short. And great defense played by Katie Kitching. Cack on the ball. You sense more urgency in this half from UCF, especially in light of the goal, but not necessarily structure, organization, knowing which piece to put down when.
Nor have you seen any puzzle pieces switched out at this time. That's exactly right. You're seeing the heart, but you're not seeing the game plan change too much at this particular time.
A quick word from Haley Outen.
USF with the 2-0 lead, and there's no question that these road trips are all business. In fact, USF's first road loss of the season just came last week at UCF. But this is a group that's been really focused on the road, and it's because, in large part, they've gotten to do a lot of fun things outside of soccer, and Coach Schulte Brown believes that you have one college experience before many go on to the next level, so they try to make some memories out of it. last night when they found out the game was canceled, the team decided to walk on over to Beale Street and take in some of the sights of Memphis. So some fun times, too, outside of all the training and soccer.
Is that old school or new school?
What's that? Going to Beale?
With a coach looking outside of the work that's being done just in the construct of the park and in the classroom.
That's new school. That's new school.
I'm a fan. I'm in favor.
Well, and I don't think players care how much a coach knows until the coach shows how much they care too. I think that's a big part of it in today's game.
A long strike this time from USF, just out of the reach of the goalkeeper, Caroline Delisle.
And it looks like we're about to have some wholesale substitutions for UCF.
Diana Martin will return, and she is joined by Elise LeGroux, the two offensive-minded subs that Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak inserted in that first half as well after going down 1-0. So the same buttons being pressed by UCF. Can they press them harder or faster? Staring at a 2-goal deficit that could mean the end of their run towards an American Athletic Conference title. A blatant pull down in the midfield there. Hesitate to even call that a tackle. But ably noticed by the referee. And a good dispossession here by UCF. Trying to get it going, but they can't quite find Martin on the receiving end of the pass from Goodorf.
Won't show up in the box score, but Martinez had excellent positioning to be able to claim that ball. If she's standing back on her line or inside the 6, perhaps you'd have Martin with an opportunity to squeeze through there, but that was squashed out immediately. Good goalkeeping. Stuff that, again, that just doesn't show up in the box score, but is every bit as important to this team.
Martin roughed up a little bit from behind by Cheyenne Dennis, but keeps the ball. Bien, closely marked, having gotten loose twice already. Good sliding challenge by UCF. And now a whistle that'll go against the Bulls. Madison Mernon able to get possession back. Martin forward. Goodorf wants to turn, and Martinez there for it.
Hey, not a bad shot on goal for the Knights. It's something to build on. They haven't had one this half. It's an opportunity for them to at least lay a marker down and say, hey, we're not done with this match just yet.
A little more than 20 minutes elapsed here in the second half. USF has added to their lead, and a yellow card now ruled, I believe, against Sydney Nasello of USF.
Yellow card on number 20, UCF, Madison Mernon.
It is on Madison Mernon of UCF instead. And that is...
Did she get the heel? I didn't see where she got that.
I didn't either. Tough to tell. First card we've had of the match, either way.
Yeah, if I were a betting man on that, I would say she might have clipped the back heel, which if she did that on purpose, that's enough for a yellow card. If you take somebody down from behind, it doesn't matter if it's a headlock or if it's a takedown with the back of the heel. That's gonna get you in the book for sure. So, and you didn't see any complaint from the bench.
Sandy Soray now will sit for UCF. Christina Trickett on for the Knights, as Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak is pulling out all the stops. USF in possession in black. UCF defending in white. Trying to get the ball going the other way, as they have not done very often with success this evening. Delisle just playing hall monitor for the moment. Long throw coming from the right touchline. They go short instead. Nasello, room to work, but had the momentum stopped. It'll go UCF's way.
The wind has died down here. The temperature seems like it's holding a little steady, which is, after sunset here, I think we only got into the 30s for a high today. And for two Florida teams, that's probably not ideal.
USF trying to put UCF's run toward a title on ice here in semifinal action in Memphis. SMU and the top-seeded Memphis Tigers coming up at 7 o'clock. Long run in, and a whistle before Nasello was able to get a strike at it. Will negate the chance. Sidney Nasello, I think, has held the mark tonight for top speed reached.
I think so. Yeah, some terrific acceleration here for Nasello, who's played a key role, I think, in both of the goals tonight for South Florida.
Meanwhile, UCF still looking for their first tally. Coming off a 5-0 defeat of Houston in the quarterfinal round. And a rough challenge there. Are they going to get Martinez? Running hard to the ball that time, Ellie Moreno.
Did she just lose her footing? I think she just lost her footing because I believe the official is going to call
if she
for a drop ball.
No, that looks like something of a shove from Sidney Martinez. All cards on the table.
And now are we going to have a conference?
This is going to be a penalty. Sidney Martinez with a forearm shiver delivered to UCF's Ellie Moreno while holding on to the ball. Will net a penalty kick coming for UCF. This could be a turning point for the Knights.
This is an interesting call because, yeah, I think while she had the ball and she made contact, it looked like the contact might have been mutual. I'm not sure I've ever seen this called before.
Elise LeGroux on the PK.
Have you seen this called before? I'm not saying it's the wrong call. I'm just saying I have never witnessed that scenario before.
New for me as well. UCF 3 of 5 this year on their PKs. LeGroux without a goal this season. The sophomore cuts the deficit in half. UCF has life with 21 and a half minutes to go.
Uh-oh. We almost had a little extracurricular after the goal as well, as Martinez held onto the ball. And
Martinez, no doubt, upset about the call and the result. A huge swing here.
Which I don't understand what the rush was because the clock has stopped at this particular time. But now, not only do you have the goal, but you got a dead ball. The clock is not ticking, and with 21 minutes to go.
Martinez guessed right, but guessed late. And LeGroux, the sophomore from France, slots home her first goal of the season here in postseason action and quickly retrieve the ball out of the net to try and get rolling once again. Will this unsettle USF?
I think Martinez may be unsettled. I thought maybe she gave a forearm there after the goal because you had one UCF player that had approached. They backed away. A second one came in and basically raised the arm up to get off of me.
A whole new landscape here with UCF now down just a goal. And now will foul just outside the 18, and Vienne gets right up in the face of a UCF defender. Evelyn Vienne not having it.
Here it is, I think. The foul.
Nose to nose there, I believe, with Madison Mernon. The spot legislated to be about 2 yards, maybe 3 yards outside the 18. A free kick now for USF that can get them a 2-goal lead for the second time this match. Hochstadter stayed low with it, and it went wide.
But deflected. It looks like we're going to have a corner out of this. I don't know who got a toe on that, but it looks like someone turned a toe aside and was able to direct that away.
A ricochet keeping Andrea Hochstadter from scoring right there. 2-1, UCF, or rather USF with the lead. But the deficit just recently halved by UCF. Andrea Hochstadter from the corner. Goes back post. Lots of bulls in the area, none to claim the ball. Nacello. A renewed sense of purpose for this UCF side. Down by just a goal. The cheering increasing from the UCF bench, knowing what's on the line. Win and advance to Sunday, lose and head home. Evelyn Vienne from the top of the 18. Tried to roll it through and had it taken away. And a flag up from the official on the side will stop the momentum from going forward for Moreno.
No doubt every ball is going to be contested now. From this point on, the game has completely changed with that penalty kick. I still thought, again, not on the ruling, but I thought the initial reaction by the referee was he was going to give a drop ball. He was just giving them a cooling off period, but then he points to the spot, and then everything changes. Incredible moments.
Brianna Blethen from the left side grounds one right to Lyle, and she wants to start a counter. Goodorf wasn't looking for the reception. Instead, it's Martin that tracked back to try and claim it. USF having gained a 2-0 lead, trying to hang on and advance to the final on Sunday. Nacello again denied from getting it forward. Wagner. Here comes Rouse. Moreno giving chase. We've seen that movie before. Deflected to keep it in the offensive third for UCF. USF patiently trying to shepherd it back out of harm's way. Martinez. Andrea Martinez waited a little bit long there, make it Sydney Martinez waiting a little long there. But it eventually got it away.
Burning with a good clearance there, because if USF would have won that ball, they would have had a 4-on-3 going the other way, because numbers are now pushed up for UCF as they put a whole heap of pressure there. You saw Martinez had two tracking her on the back pass to the keeper.
Katie Kitching back in. Rebecca Anderson checks out for USF. And it looks as though there will be some UCF subs momentarily. Martin knocked over. USF making contact, and the UCF bench wanting a call. They got none.
I don't know how much of this is a foul or how much of it is a slick field, because I've noticed 3 or 4 times players that have lost their footing out there tonight and nobody be within a yard or two. But I think we're at the point of the match anyway that we're going to see everything is a foul. And when someone is fouled, they're going to stay down a little bit longer here in these dying minutes, especially, well, at least in this case, I would say USF would be probably served to take their time with every free kick like they're doing right here.
Almost 75 minutes gone. The gloves are most certainly off on both sides for USF and UCF. It's going to come down to the final 15. A brace from Evelyn Vienne this evening to put the Bulls in front 2-0. And then a penalty kick from sophomore Elise LeGroux. Her first goal of the season after a foul called on goalkeeper Sydney Martinez for USF. A chance in close to the 6. And UCF able to weather the storm. Martin can't catch up. Goodorf. Ali Goodorf with a centering ball. Martin looking to turn, didn't have time. Rouse here for it. This is Wagner. Up the touchline, Kitching. Katie Kitching. Wagner. Trying to split 2 players, and a whistle will stop her from going further forward.
Both benches now very animated too. The match that the penalty kick brought, I think, not just the fans alive here, but both benches too, in anticipation. It's going to be a nervy last 15.
Incoming is Ali Goodorf. Martin to her left. Goodorf strikes for goal. This one saved on the rebound. A chance. UCF can't slot it home. A lack of control for UCF's Ellie Moreno, I think, kept her from getting a second boot to the ball. Martinez the save. Moreno just couldn't quite get it squarely.
Was that their moment? Martinez was down on the ground. The back post was open. Was that it?
Martin to the middle. Knight's not done yet. Diana Martin looked as though she was pulled down close to the top of the 18. Nothing called. Following this tense match, the top-seeded Memphis Tigers to take on the 5th-seeded SMU Mustangs. Game time set for approximately 7 o'clock here in Memphis on the Park Avenue campus. The winner of this match meets the winner of that one in Sunday's American Athletic Conference Championship. Evelyn Vienne on the move. She is dangerous, but she is well defended by Olivia Smith.
Should set up another opportunity for Hawksdaughter on the corner.
Andrea Hawksdaughter, the midfielder of the year in the American Athletic Conference.
7th corner of the night for South Florida. UCF with 3. Shots, by the way, USF with 21, 4 for UCF. Shots on goal 7-3 in favor of the Bulls.
So in the second half, a 6-3 advantage in shots for USF. Incoming near post. And right there for it, Caroline Delisle. Counter coming from UCF. Attacking forward. Scott Martin, and the ball will get away from them. Time of the essence here in Memphis.
Despite the play that Martinez was involved in that led to the penalty kick, she's had several touches since then, has been very composed, seems to be settled back down. That could have very easily rattled her for the rest of the match, but she's had to get involved very frequently since then. I think she's going to be fine the rest of the way, but we're seeing increased pressure now by UCF, which is something she did not see in the first half.
Martinez claims it right at the top of the 18 with a flag going up, as Moreno and Martin both flew in, looking for any sort of edge. Haley Outen in halftime asked Tiffany Roberts-Zahadak, what do you need to do? She said more risks. Didn't think the risk was going to be Ellie Moreno running that close to Sydney Martinez, but that ended up lighting a fire beneath this UCF side that has yet to be put out. Long run again for Martinez, and just barely able to claim it ahead of the streaking Moreno. Is there one more card left to play for Tiffany Roberts-Zahadak and the UCF Knights? They trail their Interstate 4 rival, USF, 2-1 with under 11 minutes to play. Goodorf, Martin and Moreno. Swung wide by the keeper Martinez, and smartly so. Goodorf again. 2 assists in that match with Houston. Would be useful for her to claim one more in this postseason. Rouse. Goodorf on the connecting end, but they couldn't find her. And this will be a UCF corner.
Goodorf has acquitted herself really well in this match, regardless of the outcome. In fact, the opposing coach, she was the other player that was mentioned at halftime. There were 2 players, Molly Rouse and Allie Goodorf were mentioned as 2 players that could be critical in the second half. Coach knew what she was talking about.
Rouse on the corner. Bent into the top of the 6, headed down by Martin, and taken by Kitching for USF.
Anywhere will do at that point. Anywhere away from the goal.
Rouse providing time. This one chipped right at Martinez. Not really threatening from the boot of Elise LeGroux, who had the PK score earlier. And now you're under 10 minutes to go. This is why you tune into the American Digital Network. It is getting tough out there. Wagner, whose work rate we have commended this evening, the one down. Action paused as Sabrina Wagner took a tumble. The invisible tripwire. Vienne. McGrath. Hawksdotter goes wide. Nacello. Sydney Nacello. To her right foot. Can't find the corner. Nacello still gas in the tank. And finally, after running 50 yards in about the space of 10, a USF corner.
Yeah, I think she turned on a dime twice and cut it into a nickel, 2 nickels.
Is that how that works?
I think so. I would guess there's probably some sort of a little mud trail there from the soft surface there from the cuts that she made over there.
Under 8 minutes to play. USF holding a 1-goal lead.
And they are in no rush to attack at this moment, are they? They're just playing with the clock.
The timer is the enemy for UCF. They beat this USF side back on Halloween a little more than a week ago with a late first half goal from Ellie Moreno. Similar magic needed to knock things up. Martin had a chance streaking in, but before she could get to the ball, it looked like a foul called as USF had possession on the feet of Lucy Roberts, and she was roughly challenged by Kristen Scott. Fair foul?
Yeah, I think that was the correct call. I think the officiating crew so far has been very good tonight. Again, I would be interested to hear after the match the penalty kick call. What specifically was the reasoning behind awarding the penalty kick? I'm not saying that it was wrong, but it looked like perhaps there was some mutual contact at that point.
Nasello again on the move. Given the business in the corner. Doubled. Challenged. Dispossessed. Vienne working for it. Godorf farther forward. But this will come back. 6 minutes left.
This referee has also been very adamant about faster restarts and also has been keeping an eye on the goalkeeper as well, Martinez, to get the ball back into play and not to run so much clock down.
Delisle will build from the back with under 6 minutes remaining. Scott, a workhorse, trying to get to the ball. Physicality along the sideline ramping up. It's Wagner once again going down.
These last 23 minutes have been everything that I think just a casual soccer fan would want. We've seen a frantic pace. We've seen the second gear finally out of UCF this evening, and it has made for a terrific finale here in this opening match of the semifinals.
Vienne knocks it through the goal line. They'll rule it out of play off the boot of Matilda Kack to give USF a corner.
I think he had said there was enough of a delay on the corner kick. I'm going to stop the clock until you put it in.
Put in your post and headed well clear of the crossbar. From the back, here comes Delisle. Maybe UCF's last best chance. Knights trying to work into the offensive third. Godorf didn't see the pass coming her way, and UCF gives up possession. Rouse back with it. Swung to Scott. Kristen Scott into the center. Tried one on Martinez, but realistically from too long. Not sure if Scott had to do that there, but not seeing teammates in the vicinity, maybe thought that was her only option.
Oh, that's terrific work out of the corner.
Kitching.
Just to get it going. Anything into play for UCF right now is what they're needing.
Moreno. This would be a bitter pill to swallow for UCF to have won the battle on Halloween, but to lose the war in being beaten while trying to progress to a championship. Molly Rouse, dispossessed. UCF gets it back to Rouse. Godorf. And the freshman goes down. Was moving a little gingerly before the contact and has yet to get up.
Referee Noel Cotterill stopping the clock here to take a look.
Godorf will climb to her feet. Hobbling. But no sign of exiting in the tensest of moments. You see the little trip there going into the contact. Rebecca Anderson was the one who challenged her. It's a keep-away game now for USF. Delisle, 2 minutes to go.
It's time to airmail it.
FedEx delivery downfield. Scott needs control, can't find it. Denise Schulte-Brown, confident of her team's play in that first half and appreciative of it as well. Acknowledged the challenges posed by UCF. You would not want Katie Kitching to go down for a long period here. With a minute 13 remaining, Schulte-Brown, a former Conference Player of the Year herself at UMBC in the Big South, left it in the capable hands, or to the capable boot of Evelyn Vienne tonight, and her Conference Player of the Year or co-offensive Player of the Year seems to have gotten her the result that her side needed with a minute still to go.
She is as advertised.
Outstanding. A brace this evening for her 65th and 66th career goals in American Athletic Conference play. Less than 60 seconds left.
I'd be curious to see if UCF could attack and get themselves a corner kick and see if Delisle comes up and brings her tall frame into the mix. Not a lot of time for that to happen, though.
37 seconds and rolling.
Although I would think about bringing Delisle up here and just sending one down long.
Martin. Diana Martin. Still loose, top of the box. Moreno. Will UCF get one final look? 10 seconds to go. Out wide. The Knights. A bitter end for UCF. A 2-1 final. And USF is going forward into the finals on Sunday of the American Athletic Conference Women's Soccer Championship in 2019.
Well, the first 65 minutes It didn't look like it was going to be a close one, but what a nail-biter at the end. What a great start to the American Athletic Conference Women's Soccer Semifinals. What a game and what a finish. And we saw a shot just a moment ago of Caroline Delisle. I don't think that's going to be the last we see of her in the American Athletic Conference. A very promising future with UCF.
A brace from USF's Evelyn Vienne. The difference in this contest with a PK scored by Elise LeGroux that brought UCF at least within shouting distance late in the contest. But unfortunately for the Orlando side, it is a Tampa side victory this evening. USF beating UCF by a 2-1 count. The shot count far in favor of USF this evening, 22-6. 7 of those being on goal, 4 for UCF. 5 saves made by UCF's Caroline Delisle. And on the opposite side, 3 for Sydney Martinez of USF. Weathered that PK. And here comes Haley Outen with a player from tonight's action.
Evelyn, able to find the back of the net twice tonight. Why were you able to find success here this evening?
I mean, I think if we just look at the replacement, that's a little bit amazing. I just needed to put that the net, so I think she did amazing. All credit to her.
Your team met UCF last week to close out the regular season didn't end the way that you had hoped. How much motivation did that lead your team into tonight's game?
I think last week we didn't show up at all, so we knew that our season was on the line, and if we lost tonight, it was over. So I think we show up as a great team tonight, and we're ready for Sunday.
You're headed into the tournament final in your senior season. A chance to maybe have some redemption from last year. How excited are you to have that opportunity?
I'm so excited. I'm so grateful for the team that gave us this chance, and we're ready for Sunday, and maybe Memphis will come back and we can play against them again.
Thanks, Evelyn. We'll see you on Sunday. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
That's Evelyn Vienne of the victorious USF Bulls here in Memphis. They take down UCF 2-1 to advance to the final. More from Haley Outen down on the sideline.
Coach Evelyn, your senior star forward, able to find the back of the net twice tonight. How proud of you for being able to step up and come up big in a huge game?
Yeah, really excited for her. I mean, I think Nacello did a lot of work for her and gave her some great balls, and she finished a lot of good chances and had some other ones, and I was proud of the whole group. It's not easy for either Florida teams to come down here and play, but they did a good job.
UCF able to get that penalty kick in the second half, which made this a little bit of a closer game.
Yeah.
Became a lot more physical in the second half. How resilient was your group?
You know, it was pretty frustrating from that standpoint. It got really chippy. I thought it was starting to lose control a little bit. I didn't see the foul on my goalkeeper. I was looking where she was going to distribute it to, so I didn't see it, to be honest. But yeah, it made it, it made the intensity of the game double at that point. So yeah, stress level went up, but they closed it out. I was really proud of the group.
After losing to UCF just a week ago, what does that say about your group that they were able to learn the lessons from that game and come out here tonight and come up with the win?
Yeah, I was very proud of them. You know, I know we lost the game last game, but I felt like we just didn't close out our chances, and today we did, so I'm proud of them.
A chance here to walk away with a conference championship and have some redemption from last season. How ready will your group be on Sunday?
You know, I think we got to savor this moment, and we got to enjoy it, and then we'll get to work. But, I think they're going to be ready, and I don't think they've forgotten.
All right, thanks, Coach. See you Sunday.
Thank you. Go Bulls.
And all smiles, Denise Schulte-Brown as her side wins 2-1 tonight. USF knocking out UCF in the American Athletic Conference semifinals. The Bulls are on to the final on Sunday. Coming up next, Memphis and SMU on the American Digital Network. For our producer, Scott Railing, for Tim Van Horn, Haley Outen, I'm Tyler Springs this evening. You've been watching the American Digital Network coverage of the American Athletic Conference Women's Soccer Championship.